Boom, blink, and XRP could leave you eating dust. Yep, that fast. So picture this, you're sipping your morning coffee, maybe scrolling through the usual doom scroll of price charts when, bam, XRP rockets off the screen and you're left wondering if the Wi-Fi glitched or if you've just missed the trade of the decade. Now today, I want to tell you why that jaw-dropping, coffee-spilling scenario isn't just some wild crypto fantasy, but a real possibility staring us right in the face. And why having no plan is like leaving your umbrella at home when the forecast literally says Category 5 downpour. Let me walk you through the tweets that detonated this conversation. You got 𝗕𝗕𝗪, the co-founder of 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘, a guy who lives for spotting black swan moments. Now fires off a kind of warning shot on X, right? Now in plain English, he says, if you're doubting XRP, you're setting yourself up to get steamrolled. His vibe? Well, the next big move in XRP will be so fast that if you're still busy opening your trading app, you're already too late. Now that's the kind of tweet that either ruins your day or focuses your mind like a laser. There's really no middle ground. Now, tweets, they come and they go, but this one sticks because it scratches an itch that every XRP holder feels. Is the real kind of breakout always tomorrow? And well, 𝗕𝗕𝗪 kind of doubles down, saying that the XRP ledger itself, yeah, that's the slick bit of code that settles payments in 5 seconds flat, is about to kind of prove its worth in a way that the market can't ignore. So think of the XRPL as the kind of hidden high-speed lane on a congested highway. Most drivers never even know that it's there until a convoy of Lamborghinis zoom on past at 200 miles an hour. By the time that you find the entrance, the party's already miles ahead. Let's zoom out, right? The XRPL, it isn't new, right? It's been handling lightning fast, low-fee transactions since before TikTok was even a thing. But headlines matter, and the latest kind of head-turner is Ripple's partnership with Hidden Road. Now, Hidden Road moves $3 trillion a year. Yep, that was with a T. So they're now kind of plugging those trades into XRPL's post-trade plumbing, chopping settlements from an overnight 24-hour slog to literally 5 seconds. So imagine emailing a friend in New York from Dubai and having the reply arrive before you finish typing best Nick. Now that's the kind of leap that we're kind of bragging about here. And this is not a one-off stunt. Right? The bet is that once one institution jumps ship, the rest kind of hate being last to the party. So remember when Netflix went streaming and Blockbuster laughed, right? Right up until it didn't. The same energy, right? So as kind of more big players test drive XRPL and realize, hey, this thing does the job in a blink and costs pennies, the narrative shifts from XRP is the lawsuit coin to XRP is the rails that my bank needs yesterday. Which brings us back to 𝗕𝗕𝗪's instant move prophecy. Right? That one skeptic on X asked why the next leg up would be so dramatic, and his response? Liquidity tsunami. Now, liquidity is the oxygen for prices, right? Too little and the candlesticks kind of flicker all over the place, right? Down and up, and it's just a bonfire, right? But if you get too much liquidity, and well, things actually start to look a little bit more mature. So where that kind of oxygen does it come from? Where does it come from? Well, first you have spot ETFs, right? Bitcoin cracked the door in January and Wall Street instantly shoved in billions of dollars. Now, if regulators greenlight an XRP ETF, well, pension funds and robo-advisors could turn the buy button into a fire hose. Your second source? Copycat institutional strategies. Just look at how MicroStrategy hoovered BTC. Right, funds love patterns, and if early movers show juicy returns on XRP allocations, well, the rest unleash their own FOMO playbook. Now, third, of course, you have regulatory clarity, right? Ripple's courtroom saga is the kind of binge-watching legal drama, but every kind of win feeds market confidence. Each new ruling kind of paints XRP in the not a security corner and is another kind of spark in the liquidity show. And then fourth, partnerships. Hidden Road is this kind of month's mic drop moment, if you will, right? But Ripple's Rolodex, already has Santander, Trango, SBI, scribbled in bold ink. Now, each one feeds the network effects beast, right? And a fancy phrase, I guess, for meaning more players that you onboard, the more valuable the network gets to absolutely everyone, which then lures in even more players, right? It's the same reason that everybody and their grandma opened a WhatsApp account, because that's where the conversation moved. Now, here's the problem, right? It's a psychological one too. Our brains love slow build-ups, right? They're kind of wired to think change always comes with warning signs, flashing lights, and a kind of polite last call announcement. Crypto laughs at that notion. It's more like a kind of trapdoor. 1 second you're on solid ground, and the next, gravity is the charge, right? And Vandel's tweet is basically saying, write your instructions on the whiteboard before the floor drops. Now, let me get personal here, because in spring of 2017, I mined a handful of obscure coins on an old GPU rig. Now, I thought I was clever. I woke up one April morning and the market had tripled, and my kind of sell target was kind of scribbled in a notebook under my coffee mug. Right? By the time I hit market order, half my realized gains had evaporated. Right, that sting kind of never leaves, right? And I see the same bruises forming for anyone who's kind of brushing off XRP today. And it's not just Vandel beating the drum. You've got community commentator Dell, who says that we've got a kind of ticking clock until Ripple unveils a new escrow strategy. The translation here is that when the company decides how to unlock and deploy that mountain of XRP that it controls, headlines will detonate and cheap accumulation windows will slam shut. You then got Farina chiming in, warning that there are no second chances, right? Linking his kind of caution to a wild claim about a secret $150 trillion trust hidden since 1873. Whether you buy that or not, his point is quite clear. Miss the rocket and you'll spend years staring at the kind of contrails. Critics, of course, they shake their heads, right? They call the kind of secret trust narrative snake oil, right? They argue that XRP's price still kind of shadows macro crypto sentiment, right? And that they have charts to back it up. Now, when Bitcoin sneezes, altcoins, they catch a cold. And the court case still has appeals left. Well, actually, not really, right? And of course, the SEC doesn't, of course, play by kind of patty cake. So why stake your hopes on an instant moonshot instead of a kind of slow grind upwards? And well, some of these critics, they have some valid points and some not so valid points. But here's why, right? Because momentum shifts often kind of masquerade as randomness until you look back, right? Take 2013. Nobody outside a Reddit sub kind of cared about Dogecoin, right? Then memes kind of plus TikTok plus Elon equals 9,000% rally faster than you can say much wow, right? People who kind of had a plan walked away laughing. People without kind of watched the rocket trail overhead while, frantically kind of refreshing coin market cap. And that is exactly the behavioral trap that Vandel kind of warns about. So let's talk numbers, right? At the moment, a kind of record, XRP hovers at around, a pretty reasonable $2. Now, to hit $5, it would require a pretty decent jump. To reach $10, it would be quite tough, but not impossible, right? To some people, it sounds bananas. Now, Bitcoin pulled a 20x from its old COVID days, right? With its crash lows towards the ETF euphoria, if you will. Now, Ethereum actually did a 30x across the same kind of cycle, while regulatory fog was thicker than London smog, right? Now, if Ripple, of course, secures final clarity, if an ETF drops, if institutional players allocate even a fraction of their kind of Bitcoin playbook, You can do the math, but volumes matter more than tweets, right? Average daily volumes on XRP already sit around the billions of dollars. Throw ETF inflows and Hidden Road's 5-second settlement into the mix, and liquidity, it starts to look like a fire hose. Prices, doesn't move because everybody's suddenly believing in it, right? It moves because dollars compete for scarce supply. Now, XRP's circulating stack is large, sure, but so was Apple's float when the iPhone launched, right? Liquidity plus narrative equals velocity. Still, the challenge does remain. How do you prepare? You can't just 𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗪𝗓, you only live once, your life savings because, some kind of Twitter sage shouted blink and you'll miss it. The strategy that I use? No financial advice here, of course, just sharing my own kind of preset, predefined accumulation zones and all that, right? And now this is something that I do down in the free Discord server. I say free Discord server, it's actually behind the paid wall. It's for our paid Discord members. There's actually my preset areas of accumulation and exit, right? And I set these so I have a clear entry and exit point. Now I log them in a kind of spreadsheet that I can then communicate with all of our paid members, right? And when the price triggers, I act. Like there's no second guessing, there's no chasing candles. It's kind of like planning your fire escape route before the smoke alarm even screams. Oh, and for the love of all things blockchain, diversify, right? If XRP moons, great. But if Bitcoin tanks because macro headwinds smash risk assets, even the fastest ledger can't outrun sell pressure. Hedge the bet, maybe with stables, earning yields, maybe with exposure to other native coins and tokens. The key isn't kind of predicting, it's actually kind of positioning. The point of kind of recording this video, I have about 50 different assets in my crypto portfolio, sprinkling some other kind of Web 2 projects or Web 2 spaces and metals and stocks. You have a diverse portfolio. Okay, quick pit stop. Right, if you're trying to figure this out alone, don't, right? Our free crypto Discord server is packed with people discussing entry zones, sharing on-chain metrics, and yes, posting rocket GIFs, with green candles in it, right? The link is in the description down below. Come and say hi, you won't regret it. Okay, now the brass tacks, right? Spot ETFs first. The SEC cracked the door for Bitcoin in January of 2025, right? And after a decade of nope, right, BlackRock's product alone gobbled up 150,000 BTC in just a couple of months, right? Apply that appetite to XRP's capped supply, and even a tenth of that demand could spark a mind-bending squeeze. Next, corporate treasuries. Tesla bought Bitcoin in 2021. Imagine a Fortune 500 CFO announcing on an earnings call that we hedged settlement currency risk with XRP because our cross-border payroll settles in under 6 seconds. Headlines alone would pull retail investors in like gravity. Then, regulatory clarity. Judge Torres already ruled XRP sales on exchanges are not securities. The SEC appealed part of that, sure, but momentum leans, Ripple's way here, right? Each courtroom update, it tightens the coil on sentiment. So think of it like pumping air into a basketball, right? Every motion builds pressure until the bounce. Partnerships? Well, Hidden Road isn't a mum and pop shop, right? It's kind of prime brokerage for hedge funds, for trading desks, and high frequency maneuvers, right? When they kind of shave settlement latency from 24 hours to 5 seconds, they slash risk exposure. Risk desks adore that, right? It's kind of like if the kind of quarterly reporting shows lower counterparty risk and faster asset availability. Competitors scramble not to be the kind of slowpoke in the room. Finally, the speculative fuel. Whether you buy the kind of secret trust myth or not, rumors kind of juice engagement, right? Engagement begets kind of searches, and searches beget new wallets, and new wallets mean incremental demand. Dogecoin proved that memes move markets. XRP's memes just happened to orbit multi-trillion-dollar banking rails instead of kind of Shiba Inu pictures. Now, picture the day an XRP ETF ticker lands on the CNBC scroll. Right, trading opens at 9:30 a.m. New York. By 9:31, volume passes the kind of first hour of the Bitcoin ETF launch. Social feeds explode. Exchanges choke on signups. Price leaps 30, 40, 50% in just minutes. Liquidity floods like a dam break, right? And the ripple, at least the people who kind of decided to grab a nap, until after confirmation, they wake up to slippage nightmares. And that's the instant move thesis in true color, right? And will it happen exactly that way? Well, nobody can guarantee, but the ingredients are stacked in the pantry. Someone just needs to kind of strike the match. So breathe. Summing it up, right? Van Dale's warning isn't just a hyperbole, right? The XRPL's 5-second settlement is turning heads, right? Hidden Road's $1 trillion stamp proves institutional relevance here, right? Potential ETFs and courtroom clarity lay dry kindling everywhere, and community voices stoke the FOMO fire. Yes, critics wave valid red flags, but crypto history shows transformation often arrives instantly, not politely. So where does that leave you? Well, take the afternoon, craft your plan, decide how much XRP exposure kind of fits your own risk profile, map entry points, set exit targets, bookmark that plan somewhere that you can't ignore it. Because if, Van Dale is right, you won't have time to fumble with keys. Opportunity rarely knocks politely. Sometimes it kicks the door off its hinges. All right then, my fearless friends, if you've made it this far, you're already ahead of 90% of Twitter, who can't read past 2 sentences. So stay sharp, keep learning, and remember, markets reward preparation, not procrastination.